In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about dynamic search ads and why they are such a great campaign type. I'm going to tell you why they should be part of every account and also why they perform so well. I'm also going to show you step by step how you can set up your own DSA campaign. In addition, I will also talk about the pitfalls of using DSA campaign when a DSA campaign is not the right choice. So my name is Daniel and I've been managing Google Ads campaigns for more than 6 years. I have 12,000 of hours of Google Ads experience. I've managed hundreds of clients and thousands of Google Ads campaigns. Alright, let's get started. I'm just going to open up my account right here. And now we're going to create our first DSA or dynamic search ads campaign. So I'm now in my Google Ads account and now we're gonna set up our first DSA campaign. The first thing I'm doing is I click here on this blue button and click on Create Campaign. And then I select New Campaign. As a first step, I have to choose my campaign objective. Here we're gonna choose Sales. And then I move on to the next step. So the campaign type is a search campaign. Dynamic search ads are search campaigns. So I click on search and then you have different possibilities depending on the goal you want to reach. For our campaign, it is website visits. And here I enter my business website. So that would be easilymedia.com. All right. And here, if I would already have a conversion action in this account, it would show up here. Otherwise, you can create a conversion action now. I highly recommend that you have a conversion action, then you have something to optimize towards. But since there is none set up in this account, I'm just going to leave it as is. And I define here a campaign name. So I'm going to call this DSA campaign. Some people also add a date, so they always know when they created this campaign, or they have like different naming conventions for campaigns, but for this I'm just gonna call it DSA campaign and then I go on to continue. Alright, I already have a draft here, but I'm going to start a new one because I want to show you all the necessary steps. So the first step here is it asks me for a bidding, what I would like to focus on. Generally, I would recommend to choose conversions, but as I don't have it here, I'm going to choose clicks. And then I can set a set max cost per click bid limit. So this is the maximum amount of money I'm willing to pay for each click. Let's say 1 Swiss franc or $1. Let's say 1 Swiss franc. So I move on to the next step. All right, now here we can choose the network. So search network and display network. I'm going to uncheck the display network because I don't want to be shown in the display network. It is a suggestion by Google to say like you could also show in the display network in case you're not going to use your budget. But I'm pretty sure for this campaign that I'm going to use all of my budget. But it also checks here include Google search partners. I would highly advise you that you leave this check mark or set it, because this way you also you're not only going to be shown in search but also in the search network. So you can be shown on other websites, partner websites, and this often increases the volume and also the performance, because usually the clicks from this search partner network are quite cheap. So I've seen that work really great. I would leave that check here. Right, then I can choose my location. I'm just gonna leave it at all countries and territories, of course. And there are also further location options. Targets here, usually I select presence. So I wanna have people that are regularly in my target location and not just have an interest in my location. And I'm going to exclude everyone that is not in my location. I leave that as recommended. Then I can add the language. I'm going to leave English here because my target customers speak English, but you can set whatever you like. It really depends on what your target clients speak. Then I can choose also audio. Then I can also choose audience segments. There are a lot of segments that Google suggests. it's a great idea to add as many segments as you think that makes sense, because then you're going to see how they are performing. Because then all the people that click on your ad, they are segmented in these different kind of segments, and you might find that some work better than others. Interestingly, sometimes segments that you would never have thought of are performing much better, and then you can set a bit specific on your segment. But I'm going to leave this step out for this tutorial right now. And now to set up a DSA campaign, as I mentioned, it's quite hidden. You have to go on more settings right here. And here you have different kinds of options that you can set. And the last option here is dynamic search ad settings. I'm going on the pen here because I want to change these settings. So here I add my website, that's easilymedia.com. And important, I have to select the right language of my website. This is English right here. Then I can go on more settings if I like to, but I don't have to right now. After this, I'm going on to the next step. All right, now I have to set up my ad groups. And since this is a dynamic ad target, I don't have to do so much work. This is really the great thing about DSA ads. I now have different options what I define as a dynamic ad target. So I can either select an exact URL or I can create a rule. As an example, I could say only URLs that contain shoes. I could say I only want to select URLs that contain shoes or a specific string that I enter. I could also say that I want to have specific pages that have the page title X or Y, or even by page content. This is really great if you want to just advertise a section of your website and not all of it. But I'm going with all websites targeting, so I just click on all web pages. This way it's going to target everything on my website. There's just one thing you have to be careful of. When you have a website, sometimes you have like a career page or an about me page or a vision page. These are kind of pages that you would like to exclude, because usually you're not advertising your jobs, you're advertising a specific service or a product. So it's really important that you exclude these sections of your website, and you can also do that. So then I'm moving on. Here on the right hand side, you already see your dynamic search ad. So what it does is it automatically creates a headline. It also creates a display URL automatically, and also the target URL. So you don't have to adjust or manually enter these things. The only thing you are entering is the description line 1 and description line 2. Google Ads. I could enter Google Ads Management. So like this. Could write, let your campaigns be managed by professionals. And then I could also add additional URL options, such as a tracking template or final URL suffix if I want to track specific things from this campaign. And then I can click on next. I can't tell you how important site links are. They look like a really tiny minute thing that is not important, but actually they're really important for click-through rate, and I would always suggest you to add as many extensions that make sense. So you should always add site links, callouts, and also call extensions if they make sense for your business. So I'm going to skip this step, but take some time and enter these site links, callouts, and structured snippets, and call extensions only if they make sense for your business, if you have like a phone line and you want to be reachable. All right, I click on next, and now it asks me for an average daily budget for this campaign. So if you have a cost per click of, let's say, 1 Swiss franc or $1, you should have at least $10 or $15 a day for this campaign to make sense. The same goes for CPA, so cost per acquisition. You should always have a multiple of 10 to 15 times of what you entered. Because otherwise, like, it's just chance whether you get a conversion or not. So make sure your budget is sufficient. And I often see, I've often seen a problem with too low a budget compared to your target bid. And this can really halt your campaign. This can really slow down your campaign, or your campaign may not show at all. So make sure you have a sufficient budget. So here I would enter 15 Swiss francs and then click on next. And after that, I'm getting to the review step where I see all the settings of my campaign again, and I would be able to do changes if needed. So once I'm happy with all that I have entered and I'm ready to publish, I just go on publish campaign right here, and afterwards the campaign is published. Usually it takes a couple of hours once it starts running, but then we are done and we are set with the DSA campaign. So let's talk about the DSA campaign type for a minute. Why is it such a great campaign type? The first thing is it's very easy to set up and it's really quick. Imagine you have like hundreds of products and your products are changing frequently. Let's say like every month or so you have a couple of new products. It's really difficult to cover all your products in campaigns. It's always a lot of pain to create these different campaign types, and this is really where the DSA campaign shines. It's kind of a catch-all. You can still afterwards create more precise campaigns that cover like your new products or product lines, but in the meantime you already have a DSA campaign. Once it finds the landing page, once it finds the specific pages on your website, it will show ads for. So this is one thing why the DSA campaign is so great. Another thing is that DSA campaigns are really relevant. They are created automatically, so you can imagine when a search query is done by a user, it automatically selects the page that fits that specific query the best, and it also writes a title as well as a display URL for your campaign. So very often these ads are really relevant and have a very high ad rank, and this is also why you often pay less for a keyword than you would pay for a specific campaign that you are using in your ads account. So you often get clicks cheaper than with conventional campaigns. And since also the DSA campaign is a catch-all, you get great volume with DSA campaigns. So what are some of the pitfalls of using DSA campaigns? Yeah, one of the things that is really important is that your website and also your pages on the website, they need to be indexed for the DSA campaign to work. If they're not indexed, you cannot use the DSA campaign format. And also there is a fear that the DSA campaign is taking over and your other ads are not shown as frequently anymore. This is only correct when the quality of your campaigns is not that high, because Google is always showing the ad that is most relevant and also the one that has the highest quality score. So if you are seeing the DSA campaign showing for keywords that you have in other campaigns or where other campaigns from your account should show, this is an indication and a sign that they could be better. The great thing about DSA campaigns is that, as I mentioned, that I've often seen lower CPAs because this campaign type is really effective and is working well. I've not seen many accounts where it didn't perform really great, so I think a DSA campaign should be part of every account. Also, another benefit of using DSA campaigns is that you get new keyword ideas, because it takes the content from your website and it generates automatically new ideas for keywords that you could target with your conventional campaigns. You can go on the search terms where the DSA campaign has been triggered, and you will get many great ideas of keywords that you can book in as a broad match, but also as exact match. When should you not use DSA campaigns? There can be clients where corporate identity and corporate design is really important, and certain words can only stand in the neighborhood of other words and some slogans that are very specific, and in these cases maybe the DSA campaign is not the right type because you cannot really control what is going on. The system is automatically mixing words and sentences together that it finds on headlines and also content on your website. And it also chooses websites on your web page automatically. So how long should you wait when you start a DSA campaign with evaluating the performance? Give a DSA campaign at least 2 to 3 weeks, and after that you should evaluate the performance and see whether it fits your needs or not. You can always optimize the campaigns by excluding additional sites and also keywords that you don't want to show. You can also add negative keywords. But mostly I'm using it to harvest a lot of great keywords that I'm then going to integrate into other campaigns. And also, since the performance is so great, I'm always making sure that my DSA campaigns are shown and that they have a sufficient budget. At least 10 to 15 times of the bidding type I have. So if I have a CPA target, a cost per acquisition, let's say if I have $10, I want to make sure that the campaign budget is at least $100 to $150.